This is the poetry reading and roundtable edition of People and Their Poems, hosted by Sandy Lee Carlson.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Poetry Roundtable hosted by People and Their Poems podcast and Oronog Mountain Publishing. We've got a big group today, and some folks are new to the conversation. This is a very informal, supportive group of people who share their poetry and offer a little bit of feedback as we go. We do record it and put it up on YouTube. You're welcome to clip your selection if you want and use it on your own social media and use it to promote the next roundtable. And that's about it. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme for anybody. We're here because we are human beings who connect through poetry, and it is a delight to connect with people on a regular basis in this way. So welcome. We are really fortunate today. We have Sharon Smith as our featured poet, and we have the winners of the Connecticut Poetry Society's Nutmeg Poetry Award here as well. Ed is the chairperson for the contest. I'm not getting any of these titles right, but he'll jump in and introduce those poets after Sharon reads her featured poems. So I would just ask that while people are reading, if you could mute your microphone. It helps in the editing process when there aren't extraneous sounds coming through when Ed puts the video together. And if I mute you, it's nothing personal. I'm doing what I want. Okay, and I'm gonna just hand it over to Sharon now and say, Sharon, thank you for your presence today, and thank you for sharing your poetry with us.
Thank you, Sandy. It's such an honor that you asked me to read, and I want to thank you and Ed both for supporting this. This has been a really fun group to be with. So I'm going to read today from a new book, my second poetry book. It's called Stages. I just picked it up at the printers like a week ago. So 4 of the poems were from that, and then I've written one that didn't make it that I've written more recently. I'll read that one too. The first one is called Elmer. Next life, if I get to choose between rabbit or turtle, I will choose turtle. I love turtles. I love their serious demeanor. I love how they take their time getting from place to place. I want to move with that deliberate steadiness, that unhurried gait. I've always loved turtles. When I was 5 or maybe 6, I caught one at the creek. Kept him for months, fed him flies. He was the size of a soup spoon's bowl, lovely orange streaks across his throat. I named him Elmer, after Uncle Elmer, Dad's twin. I would take him out of his tank for walks on the floor, on my bed, outside on the driveway. In my parents' room, we had an old secondhand upright Gil Bronson piano, missing 2 black keys. One day I took Elmer out for a walk on the keyboard, and he fell into the abyss where F sharp was supposed to be. One minute he was there, the next he wasn't. My mother and father and I searched. We opened the upper panel, the lid, checked behind the strings, the muffler felt, the hammer rail. Couldn't find him. 2 weeks later, I heard a soft rattling sound and saw Elmer's head sticking up out of that F-sharp gap. I pulled him out. He was alive, but never again that same carefree fellow he had been before his lost days. That was Elmer. The next one I'm going to read is called Jigsaw, for my husband Mark. Jigsaw. Mine concave fits your convex, and your concave is exactly where my knees want to nestle under cool white sheets at the end of a long day. In many ways, we fit together like puzzle pieces. My jagged edges snug into your smooth grooves, your excesses tempered by my softer parts. It's not so much our similarities, but our differences that make us a good match. Your strengths inform my weaknesses and the other way around. I shop, you clean. You pay the bills, I balance the checkbook. I make the salad, you grill the meat. You love the sun, I fry in it. I forget a lot, you remember everything. Sometimes those differences rub raw, irritate, and we need to battle it out. But it's our differences that keep conversations interesting and that allow us each to still surprise and be surprised by the other after all these years. That's Jigsaw. Thank you. This next one is a found poem. I went to a workshop when I first started writing, and the facilitator passed out full pages of newspaper, one to each of us. And we needed to write a poem where at least 5 of the phrases or words in each stanza was from some article in one of those, in that page. So this one is what came out: Othello and J. Edgar Hoover. My fiance's name is Othello. He's high-strung and not a bit mellow. When given a chance, he'll sing and he'll dance. He plays great guitar, but bad cello. Othello once lived with my sister. I visited them because I missed her. When he asked me to say, what could I say? My heart was caught up in a twister. My man is a dangerous fellow. His laugh is a loud, boisterous bellow. But he is so hot that I am besought. When he holds me, I quake like grape jello. One day he got into some trouble, robbed a grocer on Main Street and Hubble. Still, we were betrothed in the town's olive grove. Then they marched him to jail on the double. He charmed his way through his detention, was recruited, and this I should mention, to work for the feds to help root out the Reds. He kind of liked all that attention. Our car once broke down in Vancouver. Took 5 big, strong men just to move her. So we walked to the bar, which was really quite far, for his meeting with J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar was late, as per usual. That man had a thing for Stan Musial. When he had his druthers, he dressed like his mother. A smart man, but also delusional. Othello and I haven't married. Our lives stay exciting and varied. We fear if we wed, might get boring in bed. We might feel all tied down and harried. That's Othello and Jane. And if you couldn't tell, that was not a true story. I don't know if you knew that. But that's an interesting prompt to just get, thank you. Thanks for the hands there, David. It's an interesting prompt to just like ride from, whew, your mind goes, at least mine went, as you can tell, some very strange places. The next poem I'm going to read is called 21. 21. Afraid I would botch being a mother, not do right by this child I was carrying. Not sure yet if it was a boy or a girl. Not sure yet if we could cover next month's rent. Not sure how my mother and father would take this news. Not sure when the nausea would stop. Not sure yet if this marriage would work. Not sure if my husband really wanted to be my husband. Not sure what kind of mother I would make. Not sure even what kind of adult I would make. But then he was born, and there, in the thick of early motherhood, I saw I could go forward, just putting one foot in front of the other and doing my best. I knew from watching my mother the important things. Love your child, take care of your child, make his days sweet and comfortable and interesting. I knew from watching my nieces and nephews, they are infants for an instant, toddlers only briefly. Childhoods go by in a fascinating flash. I knew I didn't want to miss 1 minute of this motherhood thing. I didn't know the intensity and the focus it would bring, the pure pleasure of it. I didn't know how it would change me. That's 21. And then my last poem isn't in the book. I just wrote it since then. And this is called Why I Never Write About My Mother. Why I never write about my mother. Because anything I say won't be enough. Raised on a farm in Pliny, West Virginia, 5 feet tall with plenty of grit. 15 when her mother died. No electricity, no plumbing, no automobile, no doctors, no dentists. They ate what they grew. Part 2. Salutatorian of her graduating class, despite having to milk the cows and feed the chickens before school. Despite missing school to plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. Despite rowing the Kanawha River upstream to get to school, downstream to get home. Despite the embarrassment of having to wear men's boots, despite dresses made of cloth from feed sacks. Part 3. After high school, she moved to Ohio, married my dad. They bought a small house in a village by a lake. Electric lights and an automobile. No indoor bathroom yet, but a move up. She birthed 3 healthy sons in that little house. Midwife made it to all 3 births. Doctor made it to 2 of the 3. A big garden, corn, beans, cucumbers, tomatoes, strawberries, raspberries, summer squash. Walked door to door selling Avon, liked chatting with her neighbors, made dresses and painted ceramics, usually had a big smile on her face, sang hymns as she dusted. At 89, still visited those she referred to as the elderly. Did stretches every morning, walked 3 miles a day until she was 90. Kept her hair carefully permed, loved lipstick, and to wear red dresses. Adored food, liked growing it, picking it, canning it, cooking it, eating it, making it for others. Always made the biscuits for her church's dinners. Took homemade soup to sick friends and neighbors. Dad's favorite pie, her banana coconut cream with meringue. Mine, her cherry with lattice top. Started baking and decorating Christmas cookies in October to freeze. And when we, her children, moved away, she sent boxes with dozens of cookies every Christmas. My mother was genuinely happy to be alive. Just to have a glass, it didn't have to be even close to half full. I never write about my mother because anything I say won't be enough. And how could you ever believe me if I did? Me with my cell phone, my Acura, my 2.5 baths. Thank you all very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. That was a treat.
Those are gorgeous.
Thank you, Naomi.
Yeah, no, I love the repetition and it's so visual. I can see Elmer falling down at Sharp. Certainly the one about your mother, but all of them.
Thank you.
Well, I just got your book, Sharon, because you gave me a copy. Now that I heard it, I can't wait to read it.
Thank you, Tom.
You're in for a real treat, Tom. It's wonderful.
Good.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
You know.
I love the stages that you've taken too. the 5 or 6 with Elmer. The 21 has been a favorite of mine for a long time. It's brave and beautiful. And then talking about your mother is, you make it clear why you can never say enough. The details are terrific. And the way that you keep firing them out, very, very short. It's so effective. And ending at the beginning.
Thank you,
You
Kate.
do there. It's beautiful.
Thank you. She was really a hot shit. Excuse my language. She was something. But thank you.
It sounds like it, Sharon, that she was really amazing. But I love that turtle poem.
It's true. He came out kind of white. Like his shell was he never was quite as healthy.
Turtle trauma.
I could identify it. When I was a kid, the other kids called me Tommy Turtle because I was so slow.
I like that, Tom, personally.
Well, thank you, Sharon. I'm going to turn it over to Ed now, just in the interest of time and making sure we can hear from our Connecticut Poetry Society award winners. So, Ed, can you introduce our CPS Poetry Award winners?
Hey, everybody. How's it going today? Sharon, I was actually disappointed to find out that Othello wasn't true. Anyway, so it looks like we have 3 of the 4 winners on the call today. Sandy was the judge of this contest, and in its current form, the Nutmeg Poetry Award is run from 2019. It was a continuation of the Al Savard Poetry Award, and Al Savard was a past CPS president that they wanted to honor with a contest. The Nutmeg Poetry Award is open to Connecticut residents only. And we're going to go in reverse order because I believe Deborah has to go a little bit earlier today. So Deborah Ketai is going to get us started. She was Sandy's choice as the honorable mention selection, and she's going to take off with the Chipmunk Manifesto. Deborah?
Thank you very much, Ed, and thank you, Sandy, for selecting this first poem for an honorable mention. I hope it speaks for itself to anybody who enjoys watching chipmunks. They always seem a little bit indignant to me, especially when they scold the squirrels or us. The Chipmunk Manifesto, an upside-down abecedarian. Zinnias be damned. I'll dig where I like. If you could follow me through the earth with X-ray eyes, you'd see it's not just instinct. Nor would you be correct in imputing vengeful motives, such as undermining your driveway because you let your blue tick hound chase me. Wrong, biped. I dig to examine myself and interrogate reality, my equivalent of pacing, while I question why I am a chipmunk and ponder how some of the acorns I bury turn into oaks. Wonder at the bounty of the nut trees in the fall, while my tail follows my stripes blindly through the tunnel like an obedient pup. How I know the fear and joy of emerging suddenly into the light. I suppose you think chipmunks don't. Think, that is. That only humans contemplate their place and purpose. That your great, 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 great 10,000 times great-grandfather was the first being to examine his relationship with the universe. Damn your solipsistic philosophy, which has no place for chipmunk musings. Make room for me and my kind, because we think, therefore we are. Thank you. And I'm going to read one more, which is very different. It's from my chapbook, A Matter of Taste, Poems of Hunger and Thirst. A few notes. I wrote this one for my mother-in-law, and Tino and Gia, who are mentioned in it, are our pet names for our great niece and great nephew, Santino and Giovanna. And Brooklyn Baking, if you've ever been in Waterbury, it's a community treasure. This is called A Thanksgiving Letter to Mom. The line at Brooklyn Baking is out the door at 7 a.m., with people seeking doughy signifiers of affection. Puffy dinner rolls, pumpkin pies, decorated cupcakes, and greasy donuts. But no Lithuanian rye. They can't source the supplies. A hole in the menu and you in the holiday. Last year, we let you go right before Thanksgiving. This year, we spread our hearts like thin gravy over the table, trying to cover our losses. Willing you to join us in spirit, savoring the generations of noise. Gia joins Legos into tiny pets. Tino is surgically attached to his tablet. Both talk nonstop, jiggling and giggling, while the grown-ups grimly juggle plates of turkey, ham, and every side dish in the repertoire. Grief is sharp enough to carve the meat. We eat too much too fast and part ways too soon, unfilled, wrapping our memories with the leftovers. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Anybody have any thoughts or comments for Deborah before she has to run?
I would like to comment on why I chose the chipmunk poem. There was the wit, the insight, and the humor and the compassion all rolled up into one. And I'm a fellow fan of chipmunks, but you pulled it off. It wasn't sentimental, and it was having fun. This biped really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed your second poem as well. I think for me, you really nailed why holiday meals resonate the way they do with us, and I love Waterbury. It's a great city. So thank you very much for that, Deb. I hope you come back next month to our roundtable again.
Thank you.
I'd just
I
like to say,
love the line, grief is sharp enough to cut the meat, and also like thin gravy. Those were both like, oof, you're just mixing those two things was so interesting to me.
Thank you.
Deborah, thank you. I really enjoyed your two poems, both of them. I was charmed by the chipmunks. I'm a chipmunk lover too. And what you said, how you framed grief. Thank you.
yeah, what I like, I love the chipmunk poem and both poems, but what I thought was great about the chipmunk poem is not only did you talk about the chipmunk, but you talked about our relationship to nature. You hinted at that, like the hubris that we think we're the only ones who can think and other creatures can't.
All right.
Well, I really apologize that I have to run. I wish I could stay and hear the other poets, but thank you very much for inviting me.
Just
You're
glad you
welcome,
could be here.
Deborah.
Deb. Thank you.
Come back again. Same link all the time. You know where to find us. All right. Our third place winner doesn't appear to be on the call. That was Deanie Rowan Blank. And her poem was titled Neighborhood Residents. So we're going to move on to the second place honoree, Catherine DeNunzio. Catherine?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for selecting my poem. At a Q&A, after a reading, I was asked who or what gave you permission to be a writer. And I was surprised by what happened within me. The answer came in the form of a memory. Unexpectedly, it was something that I knew that I remembered. I would think of it from time to time, but it just pulled everything together with some urgency, and the poem followed. It's called The Permission. And for my father, wood fleck pants, damp t-shirt. My father invited me outside, past my mother's clothesline, and sheltered by trees, a perfect stump, cushioned by greens. Look, he said, this is for you, a little toadstool of your own. When you want to, you can sit on it and think. scent of birch sap, slight breeze, crisp shadows, light shimmering through trees. But most of all, revelation. What I was prone to was real, belonged to me. And the other poem that I've chosen to read, just a little bit before it, setting aside the wisdom and some of the other benefits of aging. Aging can be challenging. We don't lose just a few abilities, and it's not as if what we lose just happens and then we adjust and there we are, we're old and or we're aged and we go on. Instead, it's losing and then losing something else and then something else. So this poem offers an alternate way to view aging. A discernible decline in health. Now that it has begun, you want before, or at least a chance, one chance to feel what you had. Would it, though, change anything that matters? Say it is granted. Maybe this happens. Everything you had before is revelation. Then your decline becomes discernible again, and okay, you go on that way and on that way and on that way, losing more this is and that's, same as before. Maybe, though, in that moment, before perception too begins to skew, you perceive the revelation as schematic, and quickly, before it dissolves, you design a template. Every morning, you enter all that you still have and let all that having accompany you like a brilliant soundtrack that keeps you in the here and now, knowing that your body will not lose or ache or fade or fail quite this amenably again.
Thanks, Catherine. Where were you from again?
I live in Ledyard. I grew up in Durham, Connecticut.
Ledyard. Thank you. Just real quick, a woman I used to work with at QCen Technologies in Waterbury was dating a doctor who had a clock set to his 60th birthday. And she kept asking him, what is that timer? What is that timer running on your desk? And he never thought, he didn't believe that a human was meant to live past 60 because of thing after thing after thing after thing. So that was going to be his end, but I don't know if that ever happened or not. But
Catherine, I loved your poem. You know, when you go through submittable and you're going through all these entries, and sometimes people submit a whole bunch. It's just really interesting what stands out, and the image of your dad leading you to this special place all your own and calling it your little toadstool. We're always our dad's little girls, you know, and it just resonated with me, and it's so visual. And the images that you chose just speak of a life, you know, the clothesline and the stump and all that. Just very relatable. So thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Catherine, I really liked your aging poem. I've written similar things along the lines of, waking up with a sore back, aching back and sore knees hobbling around. But like you, I always end it by saying making the best of life's shadows. And I think that's what we have to do as we get older, is to make the best of life's shadows. So thank you.
Thank you. And you might enjoy that a friend of my husband and I calls what happens in the morning when he wakes up, he calls them sleep injuries.
I don't remember your wording, but I love your every morning entering what you have. That really spoke to me. It's such a wonderful image, the motion in it, as well as obviously the decision and the courage that goes with it.
Thank you.
So off we go to our first prize honoree, and she is from Colchester, Connecticut, and it is Oxia Rose.
Thank you, everyone, for reading your poems. I'm feeling so inspired. They've all been so beautiful. And I'm going to go ahead and read the winning poem. And thank you so much for choosing the poem. It feels very surreal, and I'm very grateful. The poem is called Evanescent. When I die, it will be beautiful, soft and quiet like the animals. I am not afraid, steadfast and certain like the trees. I will be more than myself, intricate and endless like the night sky. I learn from the land over and again like a spider spinning, and from the seasons, beginning and ending like ourselves. And if I lay still from the earth, fevered and aching like a virus, I learn from their passing, requisite and subtle like a breath. We are passing, swift and secret like the wind, our universe evanescent, abstract and haunting like a mist. We return what we borrowed, grateful and resigned like the living. We return to our origin, vast and mysterious like mycelium. We return from the darkness, bright and warm like the sun. I have one other poem to read. This is from, I have one collection of poetry. It's called Caterpillar Face. And this poem is called Rift. In January, I want to be far away, somewhere strange and new, where everything I have is in a bag. No one knows where I am or what I do. In February, I want a home that does not move. I want to grow plants and babies as I watch the seasons come and go. I celebrate holidays and I decorate for parties. In March, I must leave. Somewhere won't stop calling me. It keeps me up at night as if part of me lives across the sea. In April, I only want to rest in a bed that I own, in a room that I own, a bed that is not lonely. Somewhere safe in a place that I've known. In May, I'm wild, so that is where I'll be hiding. I'll eat dehydrated food and look for bears. I don't have a map. The earth is guiding. In June, I want pets and a job and a car. I go on long walks, but I never walk too far. July is like May and August is like June. I want one thing, but a different thing soon. So I borrow other people's babies and grow plants on airplanes while I'm away. I'm tired of constantly leaving, but for some reason, I cannot breathe if I stay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your work is so beautiful, very moving.
Thank you.
Both poems were just amazing. And there are certain lines in there. It's like steadfast and certain like the trees just killed me. Breath requisite and subtle like the wind just killed me. I want a house that does not move just killed me. And a bed that is not lonely. And those are just a few of the lines that I was able to capture. But it's just line after line is gorgeous.
Add to that, I don't have a map. The earth is guiding. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So gorgeous. How long have you been writing? I'm sorry.
I've always wanted to be a writer since I was a little girl, but it's only been the last couple years that I decided to take myself seriously. But
Wow.
this collection of poetry, I spent maybe like 8 years writing secretly on little pieces of paper or notes in my phone. And then about 3 years ago, I was like, I'm going to really write this down. And I got a little sidetracked because I've had some babies and did some other things along the way, but it just came out last year. So
beautiful. Beautiful.
Very beautiful. What's the name of the book again?
It's called Caterpillar Face.
Caterpillar Faith?
Face.
Face. Thank you.
Hmm.
Uxia, what's your website address again? They could see the book there if they.
It's just uxiarose.com. So it's UXIAROSE.com.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, your winning poem, Evanescent, was just so comforting. And I think I said in my notes, I read it top to bottom, bottom to top, just the first lines of each stanza, just the second and third lines of each, and it just the layers of meaning just kept unfolding, and the peace and the comfort that emanate from that poem were just very. It was just very wonderful to connect with you through those words. So thank you very much for sticking with your writing process and getting it out there, because we're all better for it. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I just want to say that the things that I wrote in this poem, I learned from nature and from observing, and that's a lot of what the poem's about. But I think the world around us is constantly teaching us how to die, and dying isn't a bad thing, and it's not a scary thing. It's just as beautiful and natural as being born. And so I put these words together, but what the words say is just from going outside.
Thank you. You are so wise. The muses speak to us. And just on a side note, working on a collection of poems about trees, a poet in India, she and I had an email exchange because autocorrect had changed soil to soul throughout her piece of writing. And in our conversation, we arrived at the realization that they're kind of synonymous, that all life returns to the soil in some way. So all that who have lived before are that, and it's really, the ground is sacred for those reasons. And we ended up overriding autocorrect, and it went back to what she wanted it to be. But the robots gave us a little spiritual lesson, which was kind of cool, and a conversation that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So that was pretty nice. So thank you very, very much.
All the winning poems are on the Connecticut Poetry Society website, ctpoetry.org, as well as Sandy's comments. So if you go to contest and then click on Nutmeg, you can read all the poems again if you want to see them in print, and read Sandy's comments as well.
Well, thanks, Ed, and thanks everybody who's read. And this is truly a roundtable, and we kind of go Quaker style. If you want to read a poem, please do. We try to keep the time frame within an hour and a quarter. So within those parameters, it's an open table now. Whoever would like to read next, please do.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Prithvijit Sinha. For the uninitiated, I've been a part of this poetry roundtable since last year, and as usual, it's been a very fruitful association with the Oronog Mountain family and with all of you. You may remember in a previous roundtable last year, I had read my poem titled Palette, which was about how I was raised to be a painter and a poet, and of course the neighbors and my mother's inspiration, which brought me a lot of goodwill in life. And the poem I'm going to read is kind of like a spiritual successor to that poem. It was written just 3 days after I wrote Palette, and it's called Dry Hands. I'm not going to explain the backstory, I'll just let the tale unfold. So here it is. Dry Hands. The drying of your hands was like bottled air, trapped within a square chamber, which every passersby looked at from the outside. You had shown me a faint film of mold under your nail, and the bed burned with your anger. It was not your fault that your birthday eve came with the punishing torrents of humidity in July. The home had soaked you with fever, or perhaps it had soaked up all your overflowing water. I was a frozen fountain, now melting at 99 degrees Fahrenheit, you had said. Now a square chamber lies along the left hands of the Ganj, like it had magically transpired there. Bottled air sizzles in its light walls and wooden floors. The air not really leavening the dire convergence of humidity, but it has a light of new configurations. Tonight is not about aimless perambulations in the Ganj for me. In the square, tiny chamber, handmade specimens in wood, bamboo, and ceramics transfix me. The light orb of gold in the overcoat of the young man overseeing this place brightens up the evening with good spirits for me. The audits of capital absent from the way he handles my curious nature. A spiral staircase, then, takes me to the upper section where flax seeds, lemon biscuits, bell jars with millet cookies crumble like fine dust between my teeth, all available for appreciation, not scrutiny. I pick up the millet cookies and a vintage wooden chest for you. I wave goodbye to the chamber, promising myself to perambulate next week and then immediately come back home. Nobody knows if the bed will still burn with your fever or if your head will be lighter by tomorrow morning. The drying of hands and the leavening of our respective angers always transpire in much the same way as it happens between mothers and sons. Tonight, the square chamber and its contents will make for an interesting bedtime tale. For me, you never grow old. Neither do I outgrow my stories. For me, you never grow old. Neither do I outgrow my stories. Thank you.
That was absolutely wonderful. And it must be a fantastic memory for you because the smile on your face as you're recalling the experiences you're reading is quite marvelous.
Yes, yes. Thank you so very much for appreciating that.
And I love your last line and that you repeated it.
Your poetry always communicates a strong sense of cultural rootedness, but a broad range of. But you grant access to your audience to find their way into what you're describing, and just imagining that walk, it must have been very lovely for Fajit.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Would anybody else like to jump in with a poem?
I can jump in if you like, Sandy. I don't know how many of you know this, but Orignog Mountain published my chapbook called Thanks for the Memories last year. And it was a wonderful experience working with Sandy. And it was basically a series of memoir vignettes. And so I'm going to read another one today. It's called a Tonka Prose. It's a short memoir piece followed by a Tonka at the end. A Tonka is a Japanese form of 5 lines that tells a short story. This story takes place in Mexico. I've been to Mexico a number of times, and it's despite what you hear about cartels and all the bad stuff you hear about on the news, Mexico is a colorful, beautiful country, and the people are super friendly, and I just love it there. And they also, I think one of the things, thanks from the memory, that Sandy encouraged me was to talk about. I was an environmental scientist for 40 years, and how I got interested in environmental work and how I try to stay engaged in that in retirement and coach and mentor others that are interested in doing that type of work. But this is you wouldn't know this, but there's a lot of really cool projects going on in Mexico that are very environmentally relevant. And this is one that really turned me on that I want to share with you today. Rancho Villa Organica. In 2000, Senora Rosanna Alvarez, a 4th-generation resident of San Miguel de Allende, was tired of traveling back and forth between San Miguel and the U.S. She and her American-born husband had been selling Mexican folk art in the U.S. for years, She decided to stay put. She opened an organic grocery, visited farms, learned about organic farming, and caught the sustainable agriculture bug. A chance meeting with the president of Sustainable Farms Association, Minnesota-based nonprofit, encouraged her to set up a sustainable farm, including the funding to get started. In 2006, Rosanna bought a few hundred acres of semi-arid land near San Miguel de Allende. Fast forward 20 years, Rancho Villa Organica is fully functional with acres of covered vegetable beds grown without pesticides, free-range cows, chickens, turkeys, rabbits raised without hormones. Every building has gutters to collect rainwater. Human and animal waste is composted, enriching nutrient-deficient desert soils. Equipment runs on solar power. Interns, students, and graduates of agricultural colleges, mostly young women, learn by doing. They are treated like family, later returning to their own family farms to implement what they have learned. We were the only diners in the restaurant serving food grown and prepared on site, including rapid burgers, commonly eaten in Mexico. We didn't have the heart to order it after seeing the cute bunnies on the tour. Senor Alvarez pulled up a chair to chat with us, the kind of friendliness you come to expect in Mexico. Rosanna's latest ambitious initiative, the Billion Agave Project, a groundbreaking approach for rehabilitating semi-arid lands. Agave plants and nitrogen-fixing trees are planted, needing little or no irrigation, essential in a low rainfall area. Agave leaves are pruned, crushed, placed in containers in anaerobic conditions. 30 days later, this material becomes animal feed, good for up to 30 months if properly stored. Overgrazing impacts reduced, soil health and water retention improved. So exciting to see this type of community grassroots projects take off. Starting with a small egg, hatching and growing, determination by an inspiring woman making a difference. And that is an absolutely true story, and it's an amazing place. So I just wanted to share that with you, and it's kind of consistent with the stories that I wrote, and thanks for the memories. Sandy, do I have time to read one more short poem?
I think if it's short, Roger, for sure.
Okay, I was inspired by Sharon, and so I have a similar poem about time. Sometimes time flies. Watch children playing baseball. Flash back 25 years ago when my son played club ball, replaced by tennis tournaments, marching band competitions, shuttling here and there, chaotic weekends, meals on the fly. It seemed this time would never end, but it was over in the blink of an eye. Sometimes time drags, sitting in my fourth meeting of the day, pretending to be interested, when I am really thinking about my next poem, lost in a sea of absurdities, diverted by the latest corporate whim, spending my time on the mundane where there are so many important things to do, wishing it were later so I could drive back across the desert to you. Sometime time stops for a moment, the first time I sat next to you in a stolen seat, feeling the chemistry, awakening feelings I thought were dead, and then time started again as I took up pen to start writing rhymes, my new life with you unfolding in its own time. Thank you for indulging me, Sandy.
Thanks, Roger. And one of the things that was fun about working on that collection with you and your early days in the environmental conservation movement and the citizen science component of your book was that we can do stuff. So this is a crowd of people who love nature here, and so that's always encouraging that we can put on our boots and our gloves and go do something. So, all right, who would like to jump in next?
I
Can
would be.
I
Oh,
do mine? Mine's connected to farming in a way, and this is really short. I write very, very short poems. My name is Cindy Davis, and Sandy and I connected, and so this is my first time here. This is called Blue Ridge Farm, and it was from an Efraxis of a gallery painting in the Aloft Gallery in Richfield, Connecticut. Singly centered in pastures, there is stillness. In beauty's palm, aloneness, stroked in simplicity, beloved home, time clocked, anchored in farming yesteryears, amplified its function defined, fallow fields augment its calm, captured in reverence.
Lovely what you can get out of just a picture.
A praxis.
The whole story.
Just wanted to say thank you to Cindy. And what was the line about the fallow field? The calm?
Fallow fields augment its calm. Correct.
Yes, just that sense of restfulness that comes from your poem that I get from the art is really lovely. So thank you very much, Cindy. You want to go ahead, Naomi?
This too connects a bit to Rogers and what Cindy just read. It's called The Patience of Potatoes. Remember, I'll start again. Remember when you were so eager to see the green leaf edges pushing up through new soil, but it was taking way too long, so you wanted to dig down to see if they were still there, doing anything, or if they'd melted into the earth. You needed to do something instead of just waiting helplessly while they rotted beneath your feet. But then you heard a voice, like an irritated teacher scolding from the row below. Be patient. And the next day, there they were. Tiny, wrinkled, newborn leaves shining proudly against the loam. And now, again, it feels so slow, taking way too long for this new emergence, like when you lay in the birthing bed and no one else seemed concerned about the imperceptible pace, so you kept breathing through the pain, the not knowing, the letting go of all that cannot be controlled, till finally she was born and placed all slippery on your breast, your new little bundle, and you kissed her tiny face and breathed. Remember the patience of potatoes. Trust the potatoes.
Naomi, good to hear your work again. I love that last line, trust the potatoes.
Me
Thanks,
too. It's
Tom.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
The whole poem is gorgeous, and bringing in birth to what to the looking at the potatoes was just great. I loved the poem when it was just about potatoes, and when you brought in your daughter's birth, it just like opened it up to a whole new thing. It was so gorgeous, Naomi. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sharon. You're reminding me of there's a line, I don't know if it's one of the Winnie the Pooh books where Pooh recites a poem to Rabbit, and Rabbit says, I liked it all except for this one line, and Pooh says, they wanted to come in after the shillings, so I let them. And that's sort of what happened in this poem.
It's great, just great.
Thanks, Naomi. Tom and then Charlotte. Sounds good.
So I'm going to read one poem here. It's based on something that happened to me in Brattleboro, Vermont, and I love that town. It's called, switch glasses. There are angels everywhere. There are angels everywhere. It's hard to spot them, and you never know who they are or where they came from. Today, I was sitting at a restaurant eating in Brattleboro at a marina on the river. It was very crowded, and near me was a family with two young boys. The youngest one, about 2, kept screaming. I found it annoying. They finally left. When I asked for my bill, the waitress pointed to that table and said they paid it. They must have pitied my absolute aloneness while I sat there and they saw at every other table family gatherings. My bill probably would have been $80, and they covered it. There are angels everywhere doing good deeds. Every kind act is an act of an angel issuing forth from the light. They look to God for witness and quietly go forth, inhabit people, whisper to them to do good, to help others. You may not see them, but angels are everywhere, oftentimes among ordinary people, constantly showing the light of God, constantly counteracting the darkness. Angels are everywhere. Perhaps you are one too. Thank you.
That was great, Tom. We get so jaded because all the news is bad, and we forget that such a small fraction of the world, and everyday people they want to help, and they're basically good, and there's all kinds of kindness, and I believe in paying it forward too, and it's thank you. That was a beautiful, wonderful poem.
A poem for our times.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Charlotte, you want to jump in?
Yeah, my poem's entitled The Yard Sale. And I think people in Connecticut call them tag sales. People in England call them jumble sales, garage sales. Anyway, yard sale. Our neighbors are moving off to one of those places. We watch threads of their lives loosening. That frayed rattan armchair next to a scratched up solid walnut swivel chair. Those 7 shiny wine glasses. Call it a set of 6 plus 1? A sturdy swingline staple. Who uses paper anymore? A rusty trowel and well-used wooden-handled weeder, cradling red-handled Felco pruning shears. A dusty box of VHS movies, and oh my gosh, a box of vinyl records, holding a treasure, perhaps, for some young collector. A little handbill, Saturday night, 8 p.m., the Mothers of Invention and the Chambers Brothers. That awkwardly fashioned iron candlestick, where on earth could it have come from? A climber's guide to the White Mountains and a large framed black and white photo of El Capitan. A set of Louis L'Amour westerns, hard-bound in fake leather. 3 grapefruit spoons, a Revere ware pot, lid missing, and a brightly painted enameled tray. The 1950s road atlas, the old view of our country, small towns interconnected. Childish printing on yellowed piano music, a purple pillow with a panel of Hmong needlework. Next time, it will be someone else glimpsing the threads of our lives at a yard sale.
I love how you wove that back to the beginning.
Thank you.
Threads of our lives, yeah.
I like the way you traced the history of lives right through it. There were so many details that gave us insight into who these people were. Thank you.
Yeah, about 15 years ago, our neighbors moved into one of those places and all the tables laid out, and it was just so sad to see their lives just out there on those tables.
And calling it those places. We knew, I think, I certainly knew as soon as you said it, what you meant. Probably everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlotte. It's nice to have you back again.
Yeah, I've been out of town for a long time, but I'm back.
It's great. Anybody like to read next?
Okay, you all have inspired me. I mean, what a wonderful afternoon. And of course, I love nature too. So this is about trees. I wrote this after walking part of Flanders Nature Center. And so I'll tell you, a scent of earth. Too much time has passed, and I am lonely for a forest. A woodsy place with gray stones of any size, smooth or rough, a scent of earth, the brown soil, a damp muddiness after spring rain. Young pines stand tall in their small elegance, taking the sunlight before the deciduous trees leaf out and reveal their tufts of delicate new leaves. These trees are waiting. No quiet like the quiet of trees standing in their places, roots waking to fungus, holding their brown, gray, bare branches with tiny red or yellow buds swelling. A vernal pool mirrors trees and sky. A still green Christmas fern from last season waits over soft brown pine straw for spring's warmth to make it stand again. A scatter of leaves from last October carpets the trails, welcoming walkers. It's been too long. Meet me there. It can be our first walk. Thank you.
It's so Connecticut. I love it. I spent the month of January in California, and it's such a contrast. And then you just brought it all back home, what this state is about.
I love how you bring the listener or the reader into the scene at the end and ask them to take a walk with you. That just like, it's a beautiful poem, and then just like pulls me into it. So thank you. It's beautiful.
Sherry, I have a deep love for Flanders, doing a lot of work getting rid of invasives there, and you, I mean, I could see what you were describing. It's so,
such a beautiful place.
it is, and there's such an intimacy about those details.
Mm.
You know, the detritus from the previous seasons, and how they're all, you know, what we've been saying through this whole conversation. It's all, and Usha's poem, you know, it all is a returning of what we have borrowed, you know, so beautifully said. So thank you very, very much. Okay. Who would like to read next? Anybody?
I intended to read a short poem, and I'd like to add to it another short poem because I think it is part of the theme of today in many ways. It's called When the World is Too Much, and I also use it as a prescription when I have sort of a migraine from current events. When the world is too much with me, and disquiet robs me of my sleep, when each sound is amplified and underscores my apprehensions, I slip the bonds of thought to lie beneath the stars and share the night with wild things that suffer neither past nor fret of things to come. And in a twinkling I am released to venture forth in time and peace.
Lovely.
So
Lovely.
And my other one, very, very different from everything today. I call it Clair Obscure. A course of light across the stucco wall obliged my eyes to close in reverie and open wide the blinds to bygone times, recalling her upon the window seat. Her honey hair, blue eyes, and rosebud lips, atop a sleek and honed Carrera bust, a patchwork quilt drawn snug about her waist, and on her lap a book by Nabokov. She stares in silence towards the setting sun, adrift in thought, perhaps from passage read, or searching for some grievance yet unearthed from deep within her subterranean world. A mystery that must with her remain despite all hope expressed in word and deed. For she has faded from my sight as that same light by which I held her last, and lies with him whose touch she dreams will flame the embers of her unconscious sensibilities.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Your poems just, the tone and they just resonate with me. The piece from the migraine. I'm going to play that clip over and over again in the coming days. I can promise you.
I think about it every single day, every time I turn on the news. And I mean, I don't want to talk politics, but I just have had to accept that our federal government is a dictatorship at present, and we can't avoid, you know, this is a bleak way of dealing with it, but we've got to take direct action too.
Yes, and I think community building that we do through poetry and through the arts is the cement that holds us together, and we got to keep going with that. So thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
I agree with what you said about the community building through poetry, and I loved those two poems. They're gorgeous. Mine's very short. It's entitled Letter to a Ukrainian Child. Unfortunately, the world we live in, it could be children in any number of other countries. Letter to a Ukrainian Child. Are you the future walking or a fleeting presence? Child, who are you? Today, a sky you've seen explode holds sunrise. If you can still find beauty in your devastated land of loss, there's so much left of you. That wasn't learned in school. Their tests begin with sirens, end with smoke, and survival means you've passed. How is it that your spirit hasn't cracked? Holding out against the odds, your integrity in a world of things that fall apart. Please keep inventing ways to live. Humanity needs you.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you for that reference, that allusion to Yeats's "Things Fall Apart," a powerful poem.
That gave me literal chills. Thank you.
Beverly or Susan, did you want to share a poem?
I'll share one. So this is called The Wedding Dress. All in white, lace over satin for the bodice, lace over tulle over satin for the skirt. It will fall to just below her knee. Carefully she placed each stitch, needle pushed in, pulled out, weaving the thread, fingers moved in an undulating wave. She worked back again over the same lines, the double stitch making the seams strong and enduring. Every stitch holds her dreams, fears, hopes, spirit. What was before her? Opening of possibilities, closing of harms, joyful gladness, emptying sadness, crushing pain, enveloping tenderness, ironing out problems, washing away hurts, drying tears, folding sweetness, tending cares, cooking nutrients, baking character, feeding strength and sturdiness, nursing babes in arms, creating stories, traditions, teaching kindness, mending brokenness, tucking in confidence, unlocking ideas, chalking ruler marks on the doorway, polishing cheeks rosy, dusting kisses, hugging, 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 hugging. Measured twice, placed with thought, then carefully cut along the pattern lines, and she sewed. Shorts, pants, shirts, blouses, dresses, skirts, capes, curtains, drapes, shades, upholstery, every thread and stitch imbued with love. And we learned at her elbow, doll clothes and dreams, our own wardrobes and independence, wedding dress and futures. In the time and space of using needle and thread, putting together pieces of fabric to make a whole, processing, percolating, finding solace and solutions, making sense of the world. Sections set in place, seams join all smoothly, even around the curves, there is a way. Decades and decades on, hair gray, long shed of its dye, softness caressed her face. Blue eyes gazing and seeking, her sewing is complete, her creation is left for the world. Now the dress is put away for memory's sake, stitches and love still hold.
Thanks, Susan. I love the whole dress as a metaphor for your mother's love and its enduring qualities, and that it's double stitched for strength. I think what's your basic definition of a mom? You know, so much. Beverly, would you like to read?
So I wasn't really planning to read anything, but I read just a haiku that I wrote. Somebody I knew saw a hawk go after a squirrel in his yard, and he was able to capture it on video, and that was the impetus for this haiku. Grappled by a hawk, the squirrel twists and pulls free. Do I cheer or sigh?
Thank you, Beverly, and thank you for joining us.
That's great, Beverly.
Thank you.
This has been People and Their Poems. Glad you could join us. If you'd like to know more about what we do, please visit our website at OreNogMountainPublishing.com. Check out our poetry anthologies and learn how you can take part in an upcoming collection. Let us help you publish your next book. Once again, this has been People and Their Poems, presented by Oronog Mountain Publishing. Have a great day.